welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you another Yarnie update. This is Yarnie update 11 for February 2020, and I've got a couple of finished items to share with you today. I've got several works in progress, and so I think we'll start with that. First off, I've done quite a bit of stitching since I talked to you last, and so there's going to be a few things that you haven't seen before. But the first thing I'd like to share is this sock. I'm making my mom a pair of socks. She requested a pair of Hermiones Everyday Socks. This is a very popular pattern. It's by Erica Luder, and I am doing it in the Loops and Threads wool-like yarn, which is acrylic and nylon. I'll pull it out in a second for you to see. But anyway, this is what the sock looks like. And so I decided to go with a contrast heel and toe, and yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's really very soft. I'm not sure about how this is going to wear as far as it being a sock yarn, a yarn that's good for socks, but I figured we'd give it a try. This yarn is very economical. The thickness of the yarn is rather thin. I would say it's a light fingering, so the sock itself feels more like what I would consider a dress sock as opposed to like a winter sock. My mom thinks it'll be good for summertime since it's thinner, but again, we shall see. Anyway, I'm really liking how the stitches are coming out on this one. I did a pair of Hermiones Everyday Socks for my daughter 2 years ago in the Ghostbusters colorway from Lolo Did It, and because that was more of a speckly yarn, the stitch pattern didn't show up very well. But I'm thinking that this one is showing up quite a bit better, and I do like that a lot. So this is the yarn I am working with. This was only like $3 or something for the entire ball. This is the color mauve, and there are 678 yards for 100 grams. It is a super fine weight, and it is made out of 85% acrylic and 15% nylon. So this is the darker color, and then I've got this color, which you can see that I've kind of wrapped it around, because when I pulled it out from the middle, the whole middle like totally came out. So, and this color is rose, so I've got mauve and rose. I'm definitely going to have another pair of socks, if not 2 or 3 out of this. So my mom's really happy because, like I said, the yarn was pretty inexpensive. Plus, I got it on a buy one get one 50% off sale, so it was even more inexpensive. So yeah, so far really liking this yarn. I do like the way it feels. I would say that it feels more like a Karen Simply Soft, if you're familiar with that yarn. It's got more of that silky texture, and there's a bit of a sheen on it as well. But you can see, I think you can see a little bit better on this one, that it is fuzzing up a bit. So yeah, I'm not sure how well this will work as far as a sock yarn, but it's worth the experiment, I think. And you know how I love to do experiments. So yeah, I've done one sock so far, and I have not cast on the other. Next up, I've got another pair of socks to show you. This one I don't think I've talked about on a Yarnie update before. I might have, but it was a really long time ago. And you'll know why when I tell you what the name of this sock is. I'm calling these my Jemima for St. Patrick's Day socks. The pattern is Jemima from Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears podcast. It was part of her Beatrix Potter collection. And I had started this in 2019. I believe in January or February, intending on having them done for St. Patrick's Day. But obviously that did not happen. So I'm hoping to have them done for St. Patrick's Day this year in 2020. And on this one I did another experiment. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel for the first time. So here is what the first sock looks like. I have done one sock. I think this fits. It is quite a bit longer than what I'm used to. But with the different heel, it was a little bit tricky to figure out. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these. This color right here, this like tealy color, I really enjoy. That's like one of my favorite colors. But that's the first sock. This is Ice Yarns in the colorway Green Shades. This is their sock yarn. It's 100 grams, 400 meters, 75% superwashable, 25% polyamide. And it looks like this. And yeah, I still have quite a bit left. I did a contrast cuff because I wasn't sure if I wanted to put in a contrast toe and a heel, but after looking at the instructions for the Fish Lips Kiss heel, since I was doing it for the first time, I thought I should just stick with the one color because it is a little bit more complicated to put in a Fish Lips Kiss heel with a different color, but I thought I should just give it a go and be simple for the first time. And yeah, it's okay. I'm so used to doing a heel flap and gusset that this definitely took me out of my comfort zone. I do like the way it looks, but I'm not quite sure how that's gonna wear for me. Like I said, I normally do a heel flap and gusset, and that has a little bit of texture on the heel flap, so it helps to not wear down the heel as much. But I haven't been wearing hand knit socks long enough to be able to like tell you how things wear, because I don't wear them often, and I definitely haven't worn through one of my socks yet, so it's a good experiment. I like doing experiments. So yeah, that's the first sock. And then I've done this much on the second sock. This black is a Knit Pick Stroll, and just their black. But it's a really simple 4-row pattern repeat, and it's really squishy. And so I think they'll be really comfortable to wear, especially on the top of the foot, kind of like massaging a little bit. But yeah, I'm hoping to have these done by March. Not before March, during March. There's only, as I'm filming this, there's only a couple more days until March. And I don't know about you, but I find that once I get past the heel, the rest of the sock seems to fly. I'm not a very fast sock knitter, but I don't know what it is about it. I always make my cuffs shorter, so the leg part shorter, so it's definitely shorter than what the foot part is, but I still feel like I get this part of the sock done slower than I get this part of the sock done. I don't know. Let me know how, if you agree with that. If you feel like after you get past the heel, the sock just flies off the needle. Because I kind of feel like that. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm like, oh, there's so much to do. You got to do the ribbing, and then do the leg, and then do the heel. And then it's just, you've just got pretty much straight knitting until you hit the toe. But yeah, this one features Kay's umbrella toe, so it's a little bit more of a rounded toe than your standard like decreased toe. But yeah, I'm really liking them. I think they'll be great if I can get them done in time for March. All this time, I always say that I'm not much of a sock knitter, but I've got tons of socks to show you this time. I've got a sock that I'm working on for my daughter. And this one is in a Lolo Did It, her Joy colorway, which is a Christmas colorway. It's a sparkle sock, which is fun. I asked my daughter what kind of sock she would like after I had finished her Diagon Alley speed bump socks, and she requested a pair of Christmas socks. And so she chose this one out of the stash that I have been accumulating of Christmas yarns. And we had seen this colorway in 2018, but passed on it. And thankfully, Lolo Did It brought it back for the 2019 year. So I picked up a skein. And this is the first sock. This pattern is Neville Socks. It's also done by Erica Luter, who did the Hermiones Everyday sock. It's more of a textured sock pattern. So you've got these like kind of staircase looking patterns here with blocks. So staircase going one way, block, staircase going the other way. And I'm sorry if I went the wrong direction from what you're seeing, but that's what I'm seeing on my side of the sock. And it just has your standard heel flap and gusset. She requested that the entire sock be in the one color. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough to make one for myself. We shall see. I'm definitely going to have to put in contrast heels, toes, and cuffs to make that happen. But I'm really liking this yarn. I've worked with Lolo Did It's yarn before and really enjoy it. And so, yeah, I did have to edit the stitch pattern a little bit because this is done for a standard 64 stitch sock. I'm doing these on 2.75 millimeter needles, and my daughter's foot and ankle and leg are really tiny, so I am doing her sock on a 48 count stitch count, which is a little bit bigger than I normally do for her on a 2.75 millimeter. I normally do 44, but because of the way the pattern was, I ended up doing a 48, and that came out well. I'll show you the other side. And so, yeah, I'm really liking that. I have started the second sock, so this is about how much I've got. This is just the ribbing, so I'm ready to start the leg. She requested that the leg be a little bit longer this time. Normally the leg of her sock is about this much, but again, she really liked this yarn and took up more of my yarn. So again, we shall see if I have enough to make myself a pair. I do hope so, even if it's just a pair of like Rose City rollers or something, which I haven't done yet, and I really want to get a pair of Rose City rollers done. But this is the yarn in the skein, just your reds and green with a bit of white and some silver stellina. I'm really enjoying those. She can't wait because she wears her socks all the time. Thankfully, she hasn't worn through any of them yet, though the Ghostbusters socks that I had mentioned earlier did get a hole in it. Not anywhere that you normally get a hole in it. There's a hole in the leg, and because of the pattern, I don't know that I can fix it. I've been trying to take a look at it to see if I could like stitch it up or mend it, because she really doesn't care if the pattern design gets muddled up a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fix that. I'm still going to try. I do still have enough yarn of the Ghostbusters colorway to make her another pair, because I haven't done a pair for myself. But yeah, we shall see. Those were her Do-Re Egon socks. I named them Do-Re Egon because that's one of my favorite lines from Ghostbusters 2. Got 2 more works in progress to show you. This one is a new cast on. As you know, I finished my daughter's Chrysalis pullover during the last Yarnie update, so now I have started on a flax. So this is what I've got so far. I've split for the sleeves and have done 6 inches or so on the body. I'm working the small medium size for her because she wanted it a little bit bigger than what it would have been if we just kept it to her normal measurements. And yeah, this is the second time I am working the flax pattern. I made one for myself in Lion Brand Mandala yarn. I am working my daughter's one in the Karen Cakes in the Fairy Cake colorway. So this is what it looks like. It is 100% acrylic. The Karen Cakes are worsted weight, whereas the mandala yarn that I use for mine is more of a TK or sport weight. But I love this colorway. I had one partial skein at home, and she just really wanted a sweater in that colorway. And so luckily we went to Michael's and they had 2 more skeins, 2 more cakes, and so I am making her flax in this. She wanted it to start at the darkest turquoise, so that's where we are with this, which also meant that I had to pull from the middle because on the cake that I had, it was, and so as you can see, it is just a jumbled mess right now. I've got one little outside part here, I've got this all connected, but that's okay. That's okay. So I'm almost done with the first kind of cake. Had I looked at the cakes as I was making them, I should have probably started with this one and just wound from the outside, but she preferred that it go from the darkest to the lightest to the white. And so this is working out really well. I don't know if you can, it doesn't show up as much on the front here, but there are little speckles of the darker colors in the stripes. So like in the minty kind of more aqua, there's a darker color like this. There's definitely more like confetti speckles back here. You can see that. And I like that. It definitely gives it some interest. I will admit that I read the instructions wrong. And I had split for the sleeves and everything. I was like down here, and then I was like, there doesn't seem to be enough stitches for her body. And sure enough, I didn't increase on the body section. I increased for the sleeves, but not the body. Therefore, the body was way too small. So I had to rip back all the way to the ribbing and start over. So, yeah, pretty happy with the progress that I have so far. This is an easy knit. Right now I'm just going round and round and round. So as I watch television and whatnot, I am working on my Knit Picks Caspian wooden needles. Size 8 is the size that is requested for the pattern, and I am spot on the gauge for row gauge and height gauge. I think that's what you say. But these are 5 millimeters. You'll notice that the other needle that I have is quite a bit smaller. I am using a size 6 4 millimeter needle on the other side. It's a trick that I had heard about on Babel's Traveling Yarns channel. She was saying that the trick to working sweaters and things in the round faster is to have a thinner needle on your left side, because it's the right side that makes the stitches. So by having the thinner needle on the other side, it makes the stitches move off the needle faster, and I am finding that that is definitely the case. She also suggested that you use a smaller cable so that the stitches aren't so spread out, and that is also helping. So yeah, my daughter's Flex in the Karen Cakes Fairy Cakes colorway. Okay, last work in progress to share with you. That is my books I read Cozy Memories blanket. So the last time I showed this to you, I had 11 squares, and in February I have added 10 more to date. So as of the date of the filming of this video, I have added 10 more squares. So, like I said, I am doing it on a diagonal, and I will pop a picture in here once I show you the squares that I have put in, so you can see what it looks like as a whole right now. But I think I was on this one when I showed it to you last, and you can see that I haven't trimmed in any of the edges, but that's okay. So I have put in this one, and this one, this one, and this one, this one, I think this one, this one, this one, and this one, and these two. So yeah, I will move over so I can pop a picture up here so that you can see it. But these are all done in Red Heart yarns or the Karen 1 pound yarns. I am finding that the Karen 1 pound yarns are very, very thick and don't knit up as smoothly as I would like. The squares that come out of that yarn are rather stiff, which is fine. I like the texture of it, but it really hurts my hands. It really, really hurts my hands to work on those squares. But thankfully, because the square is so small, I'm not knitting on it for a long time. I can take lots of breaks. And but yeah, this is definitely getting the job done. I am using lots of my scrap yarn. I'm really enjoying how the colors are going in. I think I had said on the prior Yarnie update where I introduced this project that I seem to be reading a lot of blue books this year, and that continued in February. So I do find that interesting, and I really try to make sure I'm not putting the same color blue if necessary, because unless they are actually the same color, like with the Oron High School Host Club squares, those are the dark purple squares that you see. There are two dark purple and there's two like a lighter purple. I wanted to try to change it up just so that it's not like the same, even though it is the same series. But anyway, I'm trying not to have two squares of the same color next to each other. So even if I'm reading two books that are relatively the same color, try to put in a little bit of a difference in between if they're going to be right next to each other. The other rule that I'm trying to keep to for this blanket is that it's not going to have any white or black squares. I think having a white or a black square would kind of throw off the look of it, and I think the white would be too bright. Like, I have a feeling that if I put in a white square, when I look at the blanket on a whole, my eye is just going to go directly to that white square, and that's not what I want. Black might not be so bad, but I don't foresee reading any black books this year. I don't usually have any books that are black. And if they are a majority black or white, there's usually some kind of accent color there. So like I read the manga The Way of the House Husband in February, and that cover is predominantly white and black. But there is some bronze on there. However, I had noticed that the number of volumes that are listed on the front cover are all different colors as you go through the series. So I decided to go ahead and use those colors instead, especially because I am reading a book that would be the same color in bronze as the bronze I would use for The Way of the House Husband, and I don't have enough of it to make multiple squares. So I'm saving the bronze for the book that I'm reading right now. But yeah, I'm really happy with this project. It's definitely doing the job of helping me clear out some of my scraps, as well as being turned into something functional. These squares are not perfect. I do find that I get distracted when I am stitching them, so some of them are a little wonky, but you know, I'm fine with that. I never intended this to be something that I would give away. This was just to have like an extra blanket around the house for warmth or whatever. If I do decide to continue this project into the next or future years, I will probably end up donating my blankets, because you can definitely have too many, I think, in the house. But yeah, so far, I'm really enjoying this project. It's just something that I can put down what I'm working on. For example, if I need a little bit of interest while I'm working on my daughter's flax, because that's just stocking in the round. I could stop, put in a new square, provided I finished a book, put in a new square, have a little bit of a color change and a technique change, and that pretty much will do it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this project. So the last couple things I have to show you are finished objects. And for those of you that are eyeing what I am wearing, this is definitely one of those projects. This is the Dobbin wood that I was making for my mom. It's by Kay Jones of the Baby Bears podcast. This is a Ruwana style wrap. I had done it in the Knit Pick City Tweed DK in the colors Obsidian, Porpoise, and Tahitian Pearl. So the last time I showed it to you, I was here. Now, I have done all of this. So I will pop a little video of me showing you what it looks like as I'm wearing it, because it is not optimal the way that I have my camera set up for me to do that for you as I'm sitting here. So I'll pop that video in right now. So I'm really, really happy with this project. This is one of those projects that I had started for my mom's birthday in 2019 and just didn't get it done. This is a huge, huge project. I didn't expect it to be as big as it is. Am I happy with it? Of course I'm happy with it. It's a really gorgeous wrap. The yarn just feels heavenly. I think I had mentioned on a previous Yarnie update that when I was going to my knit nights, the people there just couldn't stop touching the yarn because it was just so soft. I had opted to do this Dobbin Wood in a tweed yarn because I hadn't seen anybody doing it, and I thought that it would make a nice look. I definitely am happy with my decision. I also definitely bought too much yarn. I ended up using most of what I bought. However, I do still have 1 or 2 skeins of each color left over, which is fine because I'm sure I can use it for another project. But yeah, since I wasn't able to give it to my mom for her birthday last year, I will be able to give it to her for her birthday this year. Will I be making another one for myself? Probably not, at least not in the near future. This was a pretty big undertaking. The amount of yarn that is used is more than what I have used on a sweater so far. But that being said, my mom has seen it. She really likes it. I do still need to block it. That's why it kind of looks a little wonky. And the lace hasn't been stretched out, but trying to find a place in my house that is big enough to put this so that it will lay flat is proving to be a bit of a hard thing at the moment. You will also notice that when I showed the back section, the Tahitian Pearl color section, which is the off-white or like grayish beige color, is missing 1 row. I didn't read the instructions correctly, and I was supposed to do a repeat of the lace pattern 3 times. Instead, I somehow read it that there should be 3 repeats of the lace only. But I realized my mistake after looking at other people's finished items or works in progress, and I compensated for the missing rows with additional rows of black because I figured I would have extra left over, which I did. So yeah, the black is the obsidian color, and the blue color is the porpoise. I have bought yarn, City Tweed DK yarn, in the blue blood colorway for me to make myself a sweater. So I'm really excited to do that. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it though, but as far as this project goes, I'm really, really happy with it. My mom is really, really pleased, and I hope she will be wearing it a lot. It is starting to warm up a little bit over here, which I'm not too happy about. So it may actually be a little too warm for her to wear. But yeah, we shall see. So anyway, that's my first finished item. The second finished item was a gift knit for my boss. Because I had to gift it to him, I did film a little clip beforehand so that I could share it with you when I posted this Yarnie update. So I will insert that clip now. So I finished the hat. My boss was going out to play golf one day recently, and it's been super windy and really cold. and I just happened to ask him if he wears a hat when he plays golf. And he said, well, he used to, but he used to wear what's called stocking hats, and that he used to have quite a few of them, but he doesn't have any anymore. And because of the wind, he can't really wear a traditional, like, baseball cap because it would just fly away if it picked up in the right way. So, I didn't know what a stocking hat was. When he first said stocking hat, the first thing that came to mind was one of those hats that have the long, like, triangle shape with the, like, the pom-pom, you know, kind of things that you see elves wear in Christmas movies and things and such. But he's like, no. But he kept saying, well, you could knit one. And I was all like, what do you mean I could knit one? And so then I asked him, well, is it a beanie? He's like, no, it's not a beanie. And so he's like, here, let me show you. So he pulled up one online, and it looked like a beanie. It's just not a fitted beanie. It's more like a slouch hat. But he kept saying, well, you could knit it. And I was like, is he trying to ask me to knit him one? And so I thought about it for a little while, and he does go golfing quite a bit nowadays, and his birthday's coming up relatively soon, and so I thought I'd knit him one for his birthday. So here it is. It's really just, it looks like a beanie. It's got a few increases. It makes it a little wider in the middle over here. But this is the sampler stocking hat. It's done by Stitching Bevy. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I didn't quite follow the pattern. Here, let me move a little bit so that I'm in frame. So the pattern is basically made for multiple types of yarn, weights, as well as to use like scraps. And so I knew that I didn't want to make him a scrappy hat. But I rummaged around at home and I found a skein of Lion Brand woolies in the color wood, and he does wear brown quite a bit, and so I thought this would be a good one for him to wear while he was golfing. Plus he's really into like trees and greenery and things like that. So but anyway, I did use the stitch counts for the cast on. The pattern calls for a 1x1 rib. I did a 2x2 rib instead, just because I like that look a little better. I increased where it said to increase, and I used the frequency of increases that the pattern requested. The only things that I really didn't do was change yarns and work it to the length that the pattern suggested. I ended up working it to a length of about 9 inches from the bottom of the rib until I stopped knitting and then started the decreases. But everything else was the same, and I'm really happy with this. It's not really much to look at right now, and I don't wear hats, so I'm not going to put it on. But I'm hoping he likes it and that it'll fit well. And anyway, I wanted to share a little bit with you guys about this project before I gave it away, and so I thought I'd film this little clip ahead of time. So yeah, that's all I've got to share with you this time around. Let me know if you have worked on any of these projects or what you're working on, because I really like to see everybody's works in progress. Gives me inspiration to cast on things that I really shouldn't. But yeah, I just love seeing everybody's projects. If you have experience with any of these designs, definitely let me know, because I'd love to see your projects on them as well. I hope you are all doing great, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!